got our experts from Tesa. I've got Margie Smith and Roger Tang with us. And then we've also got some remote experts, as you might see, Jessa Jones, Trent Dennison, and Niels Brooks. And I wanted to just kind of give the floor to those guys for a little bit of intro. And so right down the line here, we'll go with Margie, and then Roger, and then we'll start with Jessa on the remote side. So Margie, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do at Tesa.
Thanks. It's nice to meet you all online here. I work for Tesa out here in California, supporting our electronics customers, helping them find the right tape to bond their devices together.
Yeah, I'm Roger. I'm working in the same team as Margie. I'm the senior technical support engineer. So try to help our customers in the Bay Area to figure out the right tapes for different kinds of applications. Yeah, basically that's my job. I'm relocated to California 2 years ago. Before I worked in our R&D center in China.
Okay, then let's go to remote people. Jessa, could you tell us a little bit about yourself? And I see you're joined by not just you've got a little bit of a fan following there.
Yes, so this is day 4 of our monthly practical board repair school here in upstate New York, where we're doing a lot of board repair. And so that kind of gives us a chance to have some folks in-house. We've got Mark Foria here, we've got Scott hiding over there, we've got Christy, Julian, and Tom all here. They're all professionals and really want to learn about adhesives. So we'll be asking lots of questions, I'm sure.
Wonderful. Okay, and then we'll take it over to Trent real quick. Trent Dennison with Rices for Dinner. Take it away. Tell us about yourself.
Hi, so my name's Trent. I run the repair blog, ricesfordinner.com, RI4D for short. Primarily, I do microsoldering repairs and water damage repairs, but I also have to remove the adhesive and apply new adhesive in the repair process, and so I'm excited to learn about this.
Is this a water closet we're looking at? What exactly is this that we're looking at?
This is a bedroom in my condo where I have set up my repair lab. So I don't operate a brick and mortar store. I operate it out of my home.
Wow. Well, it's quite the setup you got there. And then we're going to take it away to Niels real quick over in Texas. Niels, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do.
I own a repair shop in East Texas. We do all sorts of repairs ranging from basic screen replacements, which require adhesive, to board level repair like Jessa and Trent. Also own tapetemplates.com, where we sell die cut tape templates. And you know, finding the right tape for the right job is a big passion of mine. So Jessa introduced me to some people from Tesa, and we've been looking into their tape ever since.
Great. Well, thank you all for being a part of this. We're really excited about this content. I definitely think that it seems like every single one of us have to be a little bit invested in what kind of tape to use and the little nitty-gritty and low-level details of adhesive. So we're really excited to learn from you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, no worries. Okay, so let's get started. We've got some presentation material that our folks, our experts at Tesa here, Margie and Roger, kind of go through to give us a nice broad sense of what to do in applying tape and just kind of the 101 of tape repair. So go ahead and take it away, Roger.
Cool. All right. First of all, yeah, thank you for joining us. We appreciate. So in this presentation, I'm going to cover with you really the basics of PSA or pressure sensitive adhesive tape. Okay, so it's all basics. So I got 3 parts. Firstly, I will explain to you what is a PSA tape, what kinds of material can be called a PSA tape. And the second part, we talk about the design of tapes, also the key components used inside a tape. And the last part, I will walk you through all the factors that can influence the performance of a tape. Okay?
Great.
So let's get started. What is a PSA tape? Can I ask questions?
PSA tape? Tell me, yeah. What is a PSA tape? I don't know. It's pressure sensitive adhesive, so that's what I'm guessing. What does that mean?
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Sure. A PSA tape or pressure sensitive adhesive is firstly a permanently tacky material that adheres to a given surface when when pressure is applied. Okay, so can I give you just a demo?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So for example, here I got a piece of tape. Oh, it sticks so well.
You don't want to stick that to the desk.
Yeah.
Pin that back.
So probably you can only see, but you cannot really feel the tackiness,
Yeah.
right? So a tape, firstly, is a permanently tacking material,
Okay.
and it adheres to almost any surface instantly. So for example, let's put this tape on this table.
Okay.
Okay.
You're gonna have to be the one taking that off. by
Yeah,
the
we
way.
might regret
No
this
worries.
later.
We have
We
this.
really might regret this later, but
So to apply a tape, all you need to do is just apply some pressure. Okay. So you can use such a tool like a roll, or you can use some other equipment.
That's pretty cool. So what you guys can't see maybe is there's a little bit of a
Yeah.
roller, kind of a squeegee on this side, and a little flat end on this side. So he's just applying not too much pressure to kind of roll that
Yeah.
onto the wood here.
So another trick here is when you laminate tape, always first put it on the surface from one side, then try to use such a roll to squeeze out the air, to prevent any air bubbles between the adhesive and the substrate.
And how
Okay.
dangerous, just out of curiosity, are air bubbles in that process? If you have an air bubble, is it?
It will negatively influence the bonding strength. The bonding
Okay.
strength will be reduced significantly. Of
over
course,
time,
depends.
will it cause it to potentially fail and
Yes.
ED lamp? Okay.
Definitely.
if you have an air bubble between where the tape is and your substrate, you're basically not sticking there. So that
Sure.
becomes a channel for water to come in.
Mm.
It also becomes an opportunity for a failure
Yeah.
in
Mhm.
any kind of stress condition. So eliminating air bubbles and having really great wet out during your application are some of the most important things you can do when you're applying a tape.
Okay.
Exactly. Okay, so again, PSA or a tape is a permanent tacking material. It sticks to any surface when light pressure is applied. Okay, so you see, you get bonding strength immediately. And another thing, PSA doesn't require any, as you can see, when I put a tape on the table, there's no chemical reaction, but you get the bonding strength instantly, right?
Mhm.
So this is actually one of the biggest difference between a tape and a liquid glue, right?
Mhm.
So on this
Liq-
page, you,
I was to say liquid glue is going to take that
Yeah.
time to cure and to really harden to
Yeah.
get the bond that you want.
yes, liquid glue, when you apply liquid glue, is in liquid state,
Sure.
right? But you won't get the bonding strength immediately. You need additional curing step to solidify the adhesive. So
Mhm.
firstly, there is a phase change from liquid to solid,
Mm-hmm.
and it takes time. And in this curing step, chemical reaction will take place. So the bonding strength actually developed in this curing step.
Mm-hmm.
And in comparison, PSA is much easier to use, right? You saw already. All you need to do is apply a little bit of pressure, then you get the bonding strength instantly. There's no phase change, there's no chemical reaction, and you get it in a short time.
Just one quick question that comes to mind is, what about longevity? Is there a lifetime that you're sacrificing as far as that bond strength with
After
one of these adhesives
lamination,
over another?
there's no shelf life. It will last forever.
Okay, whether it's from the tube or whether it's from PSA.
So there are different durability
Mhm.
characteristics depending on the PSA that you're using. The specifics matter, and also depending on what glue you're using. A glue becomes very hard, and it could be that it becomes brittle if you drop it, right? And then you might have it break. A PSA stays soft and compliant
Mm-hmm.
throughout its whole life, so that means if you drop your device, it stays in the same soft condition as it was 2 days after you put the tape on.
I see. So someone who's prone to dropping a device, if they're looking at
Right.
the best potential, tape product to use or adhesive product to use, it's one of these that's going to flex a little bit with that wear and tear.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Looks
So-
like we've got some questions coming in.
Great.
So this is Ronnie from Lebanon, and Ronnie is one of our Pro Talk moderators. I actually know him pretty well. Is red tape considered a PSA tape? If yes, once pressure is applied to adhere the tape, is further clamping needed? If yes, what and for how long?
The red tape is definitely a PSA tape. We are talking about the 4965, right?
Should be Tesa 4965.
Yes.
It's
So
one of
that's
our
a nickname for this very classical
We probably need to have a
product.
discussion about what exactly qualifies as red tape, because I know that's kind of like the industry Kleenex sometimes.
right.
So
I think people call it red tape is because of the red glassine and red liner we used on this product. So it's a very classical product. It's a double-sided PET tape, very strong. So it has been used in many applications for quite a long time. So it's definitely a PSA tape. So what's the question?
So how long
After-
does it require further clamping? Do you need to pressure it down once it's been
Not
clamped?
really. You only need to apply pressure
And for how
during
long?
the lamination process.
Okay.
Afterward, you just need to give the adhesive a little bit dwell time, we call. So just leave the adhesive there for typically 24 hours.
Okay.
Then let the adhesive to build up the bonding strength.
Okay.
So you get about, let's say, 80% of the ultimate bonding strength instantly, and you build up the rest of the 20% within 24 to 48 hours.
Okay, just by having it.
Yeah, just
nothing
leaving
else
in
needs to be
room
done.
temperature.
And then for that lamination process where you're applying that pressure,
Mhm.
I saw what you did here, and that was just a quick little like squeegee over the top of that. What strength are we talking about? Like what's the best way to laminate that down, and how much pressure do we have to apply to really get that target strength?
Well, a general recommendation, the pressure recommendation for applying a PSA is we see is 2 to 6 bar.
Okay.
Yeah.
How would it? Could you give us a practical terms? Like, is that all my might down on the area?
2 to 6 bar is like 20 Newton per square centimeter. That's 2 bar.
So
Um,
to make it a little bit more practical, like
Yeah.
thumb pressure is maybe 80 psi. So we've
Okay.
talked 3 units already
Yeah.
in 30 seconds. Very helpful.
Yeah.
So that's something like 4 or 5 bar is thumb pressure. So
Okay.
thumb pressure is more than adequate. The key point is that you need to avoid bubbles during lamination, and using a roller can help equalize that pressure. If you use your thumb, maybe sometimes you're hard and sometimes you're soft.
Yeah.
And so it's very unequal pressure. Using a roller makes it more equal.
I see.
Yeah.
So and then that bar is probably the optimal amount of pressure, is what you're saying. Just that quick lamination at 2 bar. So.
correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So in 2 bar is 30 psi, so a little less than half of a normal
This
thumb
width?
pressure.
This width is 2 kg. So just imagine you put this 2 kg on 2 square centimeter bonding area. That's 2 bar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then, just real quick, maybe we can dispel what is red tape, just real quick. Red tape, we think is, I know we kind of touched on it just lightly, but it's a product that you guys initially offered and kind of came to fame because of its, the backing to that. And now everyone kind of, as you find, refers to red tape as just your product. Is that what they mean? Or has this kind of become the Kleenex of the market?
The red tape that we have in our line comes from the backing, or sorry, the liner that's on there. So the liner is this removable piece, and we have a red filmic liner on a double-sided PET tape. It's very tacky. It's great tape. For us, it's Tesa 4965. As Roger knows better than most, there are many copies out in the
yeah.
world, and so not every red tape in the market is ours necessarily, but that is definitely part of our package when you buy our 4965. This is
Okay.
red liner.
Okay. All right. So take it away, Roger. What else we got to cover?
Sure. Another point I want to point out here is a PSA tape should maintain a fine balance between adhesion and cohesion. So here, of course, first I need to explain you what is adhesion and what is cohesion, right? So again, adhesion, very simple. So this is again a tape. So adhesion means when you laminate a tape to a surface, adhesion is the bonding strength between the adhesive and the substrate. Okay, that's adhesion. And cohesion, here said cohesion is the holding power of the combined internal components. Adhesive is too complicated. In simple word, cohesion is the inner strength of the adhesive. So just to help you understand, adhesive with higher cohesion could be a harder adhesive. Okay, it's only about the inner strength of adhesive has nothing to do with the substrates. Okay. So again, a PSA should maintain a well balance between adhesion and cohesion, and only such a material can be called PSA. Okay. So I give you just one example: the honey, the sweet things we drink, right? So honey is actually tacky. So you can't actually stick two things together with honey. So honey definitely has adhesion, but honey is not adhesive. It's not a PSA. Cannot make a PSA tape because honey has no cohesion. It's no inner strength. So if you stick something like a frame to the wall with honey, so you will see it falls and drop immediately, right? Yeah. That's what cohesion means.
Okay, that's a very clear analogy. Thanks for that. One other kind of question around the application process, and I don't know if we explicitly talked on this, but heat. Does heat help at all in the application process of this, pressure-sensitive tape? Is that helpful in removing air bubbles or anything like that? Is there a benefit to heat in general?
Yes, in general, yes.
When would you recommend it? So
normally, most of the PSAs is applied at room temperature. So we have a recommended temperature range is for between 15 and 35 C. However, in some cases, for example, when you laminate to a very rough surface, or for whatever reason you cannot apply sufficient pressure, then you can consider to bring up the temperature. So normally 40 to 50 degree, that will help the adhesive to wet out the surface, eventually get a high bonding strength.
And that's just so you guys, I just did the calculation, that's 59 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit, in case anyone couldn't do that off their head.
And so 40 to 50 degrees C, that's like 100 F to 120 F. If you apply a little bit of heat, it softens up that adhesive and it helps out with the wet out.
Does it deteriorate the strength at all?
No,
it's not in that range.
So you'd always recommend using a little bit of heat, it sounds like.
It doesn't hurt.
Doesn't hurt, okay. We got some people inside the channel that are talking about how that's part of their process, and they're wondering if there's any detriment or if there's if that's recommended.
It doesn't change your final bond strength. So Roger was saying your initial application should get you about 80% of the bond strength, and then over the next 48 hours you get up to 100%. What using higher pressure or a little bit of heat does is it gives you more of that bond strength faster.
Yeah, it's just accelerate this build-up process.
Seems like it makes it a bit easier to do these applications as well. Another quick sidebar on red tape. You can get legit red tape? Just out of curiosity. Like, do you guys sell it direct to the consumer?
We do not sell direct to a consumer, but we have lots of distribution channels that have it available widely throughout the U.S.
Which you guys probably connect potential general consumers to on your website, your manufacturing website?
We do.
Okay.
And hopefully we can find more ways to provide genuine material instead of knockoff material to you in the future. Okay,
so for those of you looking where you can get legit red tape, first try to go to their website, tesatape.com, I believe, and then they should have a link to a distributor near you. All right, moving on, I guess.
So now we come to the second part, design of tapes. So there are actually many ways to categorize a tape. For example, you can categorize a PSA tape in terms of the chemistry. You can see, okay, this is acrylic adhesive, this is a rubber adhesive, this is a silicone adhesive. You can also categorize based on the manufacturing process, like this is solvent-based or water-based or hot melt adhesive. But the most common way to categorize tape is actually based on the design, the construction. So here, based on the construction, you can categorize tape in these three types: double-side tape, single-side tape, and transfer tape. So very simple. So double-side tape, of course, can they see the slide?
Yeah, they can see the slide right there.
So maybe firstly I need to explain to you what each layer stands for. So from the top, the yellow layer is the release liner layer, and in the middle, the dark blue is the carrier, another name called backing, and the light blue are the adhesive layer. Okay, so double-side tape of course means there are two layers of adhesive, and adhesive coated on two sides of the carrier. That's double side tape. Single side tape means adhesive coated on just one side of the backing. Okay, it's only one side sticky. And transfer tape means a double side tape without carrier, without backing. Is this clear?
Mm-hmm. Seems pretty clear, yeah.
Yeah. So now we talk about the key components inside the tape. First components, of course, is adhesive, which is why our customers buy our products, right? So typical adhesives are natural rubber in terms of chemistry, rubber-based adhesive, natural rubber or synthetic rubber, or acrylic adhesive, either pure or modified acrylic. These three are really I would say the dominant adhesives used in all the industries. And the last one, silicone, is more a special adhesive with a much smaller application base, I would say. So
the majority of what you're
Yeah.
working with are acrylic-based adhesives.
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
for most applications. Most of the tapes you're running across in your device are acrylic.
yeah. Of course, each of these adhesives has its advantages and disadvantages. I will not go through this part, right?
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've got a limited amount of time today, and just kind of nice
Yeah.
overview is great. We do have some questions coming in, though. It's kind of on the PSA line. Here's a kind of a more general question, though. What would you recommend primers in any of these applications for the tapes we've talked about so far?
Yes, you can consider primers when you stick to we call critical bonding substrates or substrates with lower surface energy, because primer is the basic idea about primer. Primer is more like a liquid glue. I can show you actually. Okay,
Sure, if you got something right there, do you have an example?
yeah.
And I can pull up the list of critical substrates that might benefit from a primer.
I'm skipping us ahead a little bit, it seems like.
It's
We've
okay.
got a slide to kind of complement this
We
conversation.
are flexible.
So
We're
what
flexible, it's no
what are
problem.
we looking at here?
So there are different materials, right? In nature, there are some materials just are more easy to bond.
Okay.
And these materials are the substrates with higher surface energy.
Okay.
Here you can see a few examples like stainless steel, polycarbonate, PET, ABS, PVC, right? In general, these substrates has a surface energy higher than 38 dyne, which
These
is
are the ones that are very easy to bond with, or
Yes.
easier. Okay.
so you don't need a primer for these substrates.
Okay.
But unfortunately, there are some substrates like polypropylene, polyethylene, rubber, silicone, Teflon. These substrates has very low surface
Teflon, I
energy.
can imagine it's harder
Yeah.
to adhere to.
It's
So
a classic example of one of our least favorite substrates.
I'm sure. Yeah.
and primer is one of the primary way to bring up the surface energy of these substrates. So primer, this is a primer. It's in liquid. It's kind of liquid glue. The ideal primer is in the primer you have some chemical groups which can grab on the one hand some chemical groups from the adhesive side. On the other hand, it can grab some chemical groups from the substrate side and really bring these two together.
Okay.
Okay, that's how primer works. That's the
Okay.
basic idea, to really bridge the adhesive and the substrates. Okay,
Okay.
and of course you can also consider some other technologies like corona treatment or plasma treatment to increase, not permanently, temporarily, the surface energy.
Temporarily.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to potentially permanently change the characteristics of that substrate. You might really like the characteristics of that.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. So primers in general, when would you recommend using a primer of the low surface tension substrates that we've talked about, and what primers would you recommend?
There are many primers in
Sure.
the market. To select a right primer for a right tape and substrates, the best way is to do a simple test to see if the primer is really cooperative with the adhesive and the substrates.
I see.
So it's difficult to see there's a general rule. There are some general types of primer, but
Okay.
the best way is always to do a simple test.
So on our website we have 3 primers available. One for bare glass that is designed to handle that particular substrate. One for certain plastics and another for different different plastics. So it's really dependent on what your substrate is. If you're looking at a opened up device and you know that you have plastic but you don't know what kind, then maybe you have to try a couple of different plastic primers to see which one works better.
What about aluminum? You know, would you recommend a primer for aluminum? And so
Pure aluminum is a bonding friendly material, no need.
No need for primer.
Yes,
Yeah.
but anodized aluminum or aluminum with some special coatings are totally different story.
So anodized, let's talk about anodized then. What would do you have a recommendation for anodized? Because I know anodized aluminum is fairly popular with some of the products that are out there. So what would your recommendation be for some kind of anodized aluminum primer?
We can give some recommendations.
Yeah, so again, with the 3 primers that we
Yeah.
have on our website, one is designed for bare glass, one for certain plastics, and the other for other plastics, and it includes anodized aluminum.
Okay.
So
That's on the information that they can see on the website as
Yeah.
far
It
as
is.
which, and those
You
might
go-
be specific model numbers or something that is
they
kind of
are.
hard
They're
to
really
recall.
catchy part numbers, like 605.
Yeah.
No, 60152 maybe. I
Yeah.
think that's right. The right one for anodized aluminum. I'd have to double check. Really catchy though. 60152.
Yeah, I know. It's really easy to figure it out.
TesaTape.com has more
TesaTape.com.
information.
If you guys are looking for more information, they do have resources, and we'll try and share some links after the fact. Here's another question from John Rigler. What do you recommend to use to clean surface tape to clean the surface before applying the tape?
Yes,
It's a little more preparation as far as the process goes.
cleaning is we always recommend our customers to clean the bonding surface before apply the tape, because we have saw just so many failures that is caused by no clean or it's not cleaned properly. And depends on the substrate. You can choose from different solvents. Like in the general rule in our lab is when you clean a plastic substrate, you try to use alcohol or IPA, which is less damaging. And when you clean a metal substrate like aluminum or stainless steel, you can use acetone, which is much stronger. So acetone is really a good solvent when you try to remove a lot of residue from your substrates.
Do you want to give an example of a cleaning process, Roger?
Sure.
We have a cleaner here. Is this, which one is that?
That's IPA.
It's IPA?
alcohol. Same.
Yeah, isopropyl alcohol, right? And then we have 2 PC substrates here with a protective film on it.
Yes. So this is a polycarbonate. It looks clean, but actually not if you check it at microscope, because this protection film has some adhesive on it. There might be some residue left on the surface. So again, before you put the tape on the substrate, please clean it. Very important, you need to wear gloves, protect yourself. Actually, it's better to do this in the fume hood, in the lab.
In a lab, yeah.
Yeah,
Clean room, yeah.
because it smells.
Most of the people don't have,
You may not, right? So
lab,
small
probably.
quantities should be okay, but protecting yourself is always something we recommend, right?
Yeah. Also, our natural finger residues, right, probably reduce the bonding potential of the material, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So oils from your fingers can reduce
Yeah.
bonding strength. Any sort of grease or residue on any substrate can reduce your bonding strength. Dust.
So this is a polycarbonate, it's a plastic. So I chose alcohol. So the way to clean it, you use a clean tissue and you pour some solvent in.
And is that a special kind of tissue, Roger?
The only criteria here is make sure there's no residue or lines from left on the surface.
Like,
Yes.
so I think that's a lint-free cloth,
Yeah,
maybe?
it's a length.
Yeah. So
Okay, so you pour some solvent. When you clean, it's very important you always clean in one direction. Don't do this, okay? And also try to change the place when you clean a new substrate, okay? And then let the solvent evaporate, which normally can be done in 1 minute, right? So make sure all the solvent is fully evaporated before you put the tape on the substrate, okay?
So one direction with the cleaning, and again, that's so you don't move the residues around, that you actually pull them up and leave them on your cloth. So you don't put it down, move it, push it back to where it was originally.
What would you recommend as far as cleaning products go? Is there something that you would want people to stay away from? I mean, what's a kind of a general purpose cleaner to use for as far as cleaning the surface prior to it?
Cleaner?
Isopropyl alcohol is
Just
a really
standard,
great
okay.
place to start. For most residues, that's going to be enough.
Okay.
It's readily available. It's not terribly toxic, so it's a great place to start.
Okay. And okay.
If you're facing a lot of residues, you can use acetone.
Acetone?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's significantly more fumes. So
Significantly more fumes, especially if you're in a closed environment, not something you
Yes.
necessarily want to subject yourself to.
right.
Just a question about waterproof adhesives. Does Tesa have any waterproof adhesives in general? And what
Loads.
applications do you see those being used for?
Yes, we have many waterproof adhesives.
Tons.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Waterproof is definitely a hot topic,
Okay.
but there are different types, different levels of waterproof, right?
Mm-hmm.
From the most basic one, like the IPX5, which is spring water resistance, and IPX7, right? You have to survive from a 1 meter water deepness for 30 minutes. There are different
Yeah.
levels of waterproof,
So
and
again,
we do have products.
Information probably on the Tesa page as far as specifications. If you're looking for a certain kind of waterproof characteristic, the information is there to kind of make sure you're choosing the right product.
Sure. So we can recommend a couple of basic things. So you could look these up on our website. If you're working with a waterproof target, you want a one-piece die cut. So you'd like a frame, maybe like this. When you're mounting a touch panel, what did you call it? We called it something.
I
different.
call it a display assembly or
When you're mounting a display assembly back onto your enclosure, you want the piece of tape to be a single continuous piece of tape, and that will increase your waterproofness just automatically with whatever tape you're using already. 4965, our red tape, has good waterproof performance. If you want better waterproof performance, our 668 series foam tape is excellent.
Yeah.
So there are many other options. So waterproof has lots of possibilities. We have some great other PET tapes that can be great for waterproof as well.
So there's been a few questions, and I'm just going to throw this out there. I don't know if it exactly fits into what we're discussing right now, but how does Tesa 4965 compare to black adhesive you find, or just they're referring to in general black adhesive that you see out there?
So black usually just comes from the backing, the
Okay.
PET.
Okay.
So if we go back to that type of, it might take a minute. Anyway,
It might take a minute, yeah.
if the PET backing can be black or it can be clear.
So it's really hard to determine what they might mean by black tape in general.
Sure, but our 4965 has been around for a long time,
Okay.
like 30 years maybe,
Wow.
which is great, but there's been a lot of innovation since then.
Yeah.
So maybe we wouldn't be expecting to see that as the primary tape used in the original devices today. It's common in reworking because it's so readily available, but there are a variety of foam or PET-backed solutions that are a little bit more
Appropriate for today's needs and such.
yeah, they're
Yeah,
just a little
more
bit stronger, a
Yeah.
little bit better. So that we've been doing things like upgrading waterproofness and upgrading bonding strength.
So in general, you think that the red tape is probably a more modern, better bonds, overall better product, it sounds like,
Then
than the black tape.
the red tape is a great place to start.
Okay.
If you want better waterproofness, for example, the 668 series would be a good choice. If you want it to be black, our 613 series, which is available on our website as well, might be a better place to be.
Great information. Thanks for that.
I have another question, even though I know it's going to make a lot of feedback. When
We'll meet
you
as soon as
leave,
you're done. No
you
worries.
guys, when you guys leave, you're like, oh my God, these noobs keep calling it like red tape and black tape. What should we actually call it so we don't sound ridiculous?
So we don't mind if you're calling our tape red tape because we know that you're thinking of us. We just like that. We get lots of calls asking for red tape, and we know what it is. It's our Tesa 4965. So our part numbers are not terribly catchy, but that's what we refer to it as, is Tesa 4965. Black tape can be a number of things, so it's hard for me to tell you exactly which part number it is.
Fair enough, yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of a different question, and thanks for that, Jessa. What is the shelf life for adhesives? And I think we kind of touched on this a little bit, and you made it sound like it's indefinite, but I'm sure there's an answer to that. What is the longevity of an adhesive? Does it lose strength over time if exposed to air?
Definitely, anything will degrade over a really long period of time, right? Especially at temperature and humidity. A typical shelf life for acrylic adhesive is 24 months.
24 months?
Yeah,
okay.
Storage at room temperature, 50% humidity.
Okay,
Yeah.
24 months. And then after that, we're starting to see it fail a little bit. Is it a complete drop-off, or is it kind of a slow degradation?
No.
Okay.
It's actually, for most of acrylic adhesive, will stay on the same level.
Okay.
But we just said, to be on the safe side, we define 24 months.
Okay.
We even found samples from our warehouse, like it's produced for 30 years and still in the spec, everything.
Yeah, it depends very much so on how you store it. So if it's in your garage and your AC went out and you're in East Texas in July, then that tape isn't going to last 2 years. If you're outside of Rochester and you've spent all winter below 0 F, then it's probably fine.
Okay. All right. I got a technical question from one of our experts. Is there a difference between, and maybe this is a great question for Roger, 62645 PV0 and 61395 PV40?
Ooh.
If you don't know this offhand, we can move along.
No, we do.
We do. So the question is, which one has the...
Do they have advantages over 4965 is really the question. Those
They're
two.
both better tapes than 4965 for your
Okay.
purposes. So that's,
Period.
Period. Okay.
They're
End of
both
discussion.
better tapes for that. So that's a starter.
And 62645, right?
62645 and 61395, yeah.
62645 is a double-side PE foam tape. It's closed-cell foam. As you can imagine, when you use a foam as a carrier, foam can help you to absorb a lot of energy. So just imagine when you drop the device, right? The foam can help to absorb this shock energy. So in terms of shock resistance, 62645 is much better than the red tape. And 61395 is a PET tape. It uses the same carrier as the red tape, but it comes with a much stronger adhesion. We just talked. So 61395 actually, the PET tape with the highest pure adhesion in the market. It's really a very superior product.
Wow.
So as a basic tape to work with, 61395 is a great tape, definitely. It's a major upgrade from 4965. 62645 is better in waterproofness, a little bit better in shock, and it's better if you've got very big differences in your gap thickness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another advantage.
But you're better off in both cases.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. That's definitely, I think, very useful information on the practical side for our experts and our repair business pros.
All right, can we make something clear just for the newbie crowd over here in New
newbie
York?
crowd question.
What I just heard. That's us. We have some great samples here that we're trying to figure out. What I just heard you say is that this stuff, the Tesa 61395, is a major upgrade from
The 4965.
what we call red tape, the 4965. So what I hear is black tape's better than red tape. Is that right?
In this case,
yes.
yes.
In this
Yes.
case, yes.
Yes. 4965 is a great tape. It's just been around a long time, and there's been a lot of R&D and development since then. So 61395 is newer, it's more advanced, stronger, stickier. It's better tape.
Yeah, so for our applications, for the newbies, it sounds like 61395 is the default that you want to go to, unless you're looking at waterproofness or a little bit more durability, and then the other one that they're recommending. Jessa, just so the rest of us can enjoy what Jessa's doing. Jessa's making the scene. Thank you, Jessa, for that question. Another kind of shelf life question: what's the best way to store unused adhesive? If you've got just plenty of sheets of this, just because you need to do all these kind of adhesive-driven repairs, and you just buy them in bulk, and you might have way more than you need for years. What's the best way to store it?
Try to keep the material at
room temperature.
At the condition we recommended on our product data sheet, which is room temperature, 50% humidity, and try to keep the adhesive away from high humidity, from UV. Don't put it in the sunshine. Yeah.
In a cold or in a room temperature, dry place that is dark.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Sounds fair. Thank you for that. And then just kind of a follow-up, I know we mentioned a little bit about thinness as a characteristic that might be capable or desirable for some applications. What kinds of thinner tape do you guys offer? The specific question is, do you offer a thinner version of red tape? Is there a difference there? Can you order a certain kind of tape in various levels of thickness? What are the options in that?
There are loads of options.
Loads of options, okay.
Thinner than red tape. Red tape is 200 microns or 8 mil, 3965, and there are hundreds of tapes that are thinner than that.
Okay.
So, do you have a thickness range that you're looking for?
There's no thickness mentioned, but it sounds like the short answer to this question. This is a question from John Rigler. There are plenty of products that potentially fit into whatever your needs are as far as the tightness of that thinness of that tape, and if that's a parameter, maybe you just need to start with that and look at what's available on their site.
So maybe 50 microns, 4972 is a very good tape. So that's a quarter the thickness of red tape. It's also commonly available. So that might be a great place to start. There are many, many options that are thinner. So if you wanted 100 micron version of the black tape, 61395, there's 61365. So lots of definite options are out there.
Okay. Maybe this isn't something you have a general answer for, but in general, if I'm trying to make tape useful for my repair process, I need to have it die cut. Is this something that you guys do in-house, or is this something we work through other parties for? I'm just not familiar with what that process looks like in getting the thing that I need for the repair in the way I need it. It's not something that Tesa provides. It sounds like it's something that I work through someone else for.
Yeah, we are not a die cutter.
Okay.
We just aren't able to do that. So what we sell are these giant rolls. We call them log rolls. They look a little bit like a roll of carpet. So they're very, they're over 1 meter wide and 100 meters long. And we sell those to converters or die cutters who will cut them. It might be possible to do laser cutting in a smaller scale, and that might be useful for some people out there if they have a template, and it sounds like there are templates available online. So.
Yeah, I was doing some searching trying to find some templates, and these are hard things to find, especially one that you can trust. So good luck to you in that. Maybe you can share some resources on the ProTalk community if you end up wanting to go the laser cutted die route or laser cutted route internally, if you've got any readily available templates to be used. Well, thank you so much for that. I know we had a little bit of a detour there. Is there something else you wanted to cover with what we had prepared in the slide content?
Sure. Maybe we skip this part.
Yeah.
It's not really interesting. So
yeah, you didn't explain this. What's this slide all about?
Yeah, here I listed you all the factors that can influence the performance of tape. So of course, the performance of tape is very much dependent on the tape itself, but this part you cannot change. You get what you get, right? But there are the performance of tape in a specific application also depends on the substrates. We talked a little bit surface energy, right? Consider to use primer when you laminate to a low surface energy. Also depends on the application parameters, like how much pressure you apply, how long you wait to let the adhesive build up. Also depends on the environmental conditions like temperature and humidity. So all these factors will influence the performance. So in other way, you have to consider all these factors in your tape application in order to get the best performance outside the tape.
Makes sense, yeah.
Okay.
One quick question. I know this is kind of a detour again from
No problem.
the PSA. It's a PSA question. So PSA tape, would that be effective on very thin borders, like really thin surface area as far as the width that you're applying it on, say 5 millimeters or less?
All the tapes that we've talked about can work very well in 5 millimeters or less. It's all about your application parameters. So the smaller your bond area, the more important it is that you've applied that tape very well. So, and you don't have any lamination bubbles. So that means applying your die cut from one side to another and using a roller, using enough pressure and equal pressure so you don't have a strong side and a weak side, that kind of thing.
So what I'm hearing is if you have a very thin layer or a thin path that you need to put down, your primer potentially, depending on your substrate, might be something that you need to be focused on a little bit more. Certainly extra special care in that process of initially laying it down with pressure sensitive tape at least.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. Great feedback. What do we got here with this temperature slide?
So yes, this shows how a little bit of heat could help to improve the final bonding strength. Of course, pressure and time are important, but temperature can also help you to speed up the wetting and to get a high bonding strength. Normally, we recommend, if possible, to heat up the tape between 40 to 50 C. That will help. Yeah. This is the influence of the surface roughness. So
okay.
Of course, it's much easier to build up a bonding strength on a smooth surface, which is the case actually for most of the substrates we saw in electronic. So here said a common roughness of the electronic substrates, the roughness is between VDI 18 to 24, and in general, a PSA can handle well between 15 to 21. So
if you have a really rough substrate or a really uneven substrate, so maybe you have a connector that's coming in and creating a big step, then using the thicker tape is very helpful to overcome that gap.
Nice. That's very practical, I think. I think that most of the applications of tape are probably going to be fairly smooth, especially if we're just talking about like a pure metal bond. But I'm sure that there are applications a bit more like specialized repair or really a catastrophic repair that probably need a bit more of that kind of durability, that kind of adaptability to the substrate.
Yeah, exactly. Because in order to get a very high bonding strength, the precondition is you need to have a very good wetting. Wetting means the adhesive really build a close contact with the substrates. That's really the key. So any way can help you to accelerate the wetting will help on the bonding strength eventually.
And would heat apply
with
in that
heat,
situation? Because
yes,
still
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Also high pressure.
Okay.
Yeah, and a little bit long dwell time. So wait a little bit long
time.
Or press a little bit long.
Okay.
And all those factors will help you build up a high bonding strength.
Wonderful. Another question, how much does TSA degrade when removed and then reapplied?
TSA meaning?
I think you probably mean PSA, sorry.
PSA?
Yeah.
Okay.
It depends on the types of PSA. Just for example, if a PSA with a relatively lower cohesion, so when you peel it off, you left a lot of residue on the substrates, then you lost a lot of performance for sure when you do it secondly, right? But I don't have really a percentage number, but in general, the performance will be much lower.
PSA, because it's going to leave a lot of residue there, so therefore the performance is going to go away a bit. So that's kind of a general tool to use. If you see a lot of residue left over, then obviously you need to put a new product down.
Yeah.
Clean it up with a new product.
And especially if you have narrow bond areas, then you really want the maximum adhesion that you can get out of your tape. So it's better to use a fresh piece.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Do we have another slide after this that we wanted to get through?
I think we have gone through pretty much all the slides.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we've got about 8 minutes left, and we've got lots of potential people here who have wonderful questions. I've got a few here that we can talk about. Feel free to just chime in and ask your questions. There's quite a lot of questions coming in, and we'll try and get to them as best we can.
Eric, I've got a question.
Answered. Sure, go for it, Trent.
So Roger earlier said that you achieve about 80% of your bond strength on application and the other 20% over the remaining 24 to 48 hours, I think you said it was?
Yes.
Is there anything that you recommend we tell our customers not to do with their device while that remaining 20% is achieved?
Yes. Normally we recommend our customers to do further test or further processing after 48 hours.
Yeah, so for your, I think you can use your device, just don't drop it.
Yes.
You know, don't drop it, don't, it's,
So room temperature, I mean, again, going back to what they said is the optimum temperature, it seems like that's the guidance to give the customer. What is the optimum temperature? What is the optimum environment? Try and keep it like that for the recommended period, which is 24 to 48 hours.
yeah.
I got a better answer maybe. It really depends on the application. If there's no stress applied on the tape after lamination, yeah, you can use it immediately. If there is a stress applied on the tape after lamination, you better to wait 24 to 48 hours to achieve the ultimate adhesion. Then you do further processing or testing. No problem.
So I've got a kind of a product specific question from Ronnie again. He's saying he loves the 4965. It's one of his favorite products for more metal to lens mounting or panel displays is what we talked about. But for smaller surfaces where it's typically glass to plastic, he's having a little bit of a hard time with the 4965. Is there a better product that you'd recommend for that?
Sure. 4965 is sort of like our first generation lens mounting tape.
Yeah.
Now we have much better
So we're again
products
going to
like
that
613,
61395,
626.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So the answer is kind of already been stated, but just to reiterate, that's the 61395 product that was said as being the next generation and something for the most part you should be going with.
Yeah.
Great. Just looking through here to see if we have any other questions. What should I use to hold down screens? The screens on a general smartphone. Is there any common? It seems like that's kind of a general purpose, and maybe not something that you guys are actively figuring out what is the best way to adhere that to. But as we discussed, maybe just thumb amount of pressure on whatever it is, adhere that screen back down, push it down with just the strength that you have with your fingers over the the course of a few minutes or a few seconds, and then that should be enough to get 80% of that bond strength needed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, you have to look at the same factors. Make sure the surface is clean. Apply enough pressure. Also make sure check the pressure distribution. Make sure it applied evenly, and press for enough time.
What temperature? This is a specific question about the again using heat a little bit. What temperature is best to soften the tape to remove the screen? Is there a temperature that you recommend in kind of in general?
Debonding.
Debonding.
The general recommendation there is temperature like 80 to 100 degree. Then adhesive should be soft enough to, still has a certain bonding strength. Then with some tools like suction cup, you can debonding.
So it's 80 to 100 degrees C. So much higher.
Much higher than.
Lower temperature can be possible, but just for a longer period of time.
Okay. So that's some good guidance for us. Another kind of quick question. I think we mentioned cleaning in one direction. Does that really make a difference?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we have a lot of data showing you the difference.
Okay. What is the best way to clean the residue from the 61395 tape once it's applied and you take it off? Is there an ideal way to, is again just isopropyl alcohol? And
Yes.
what's your technique, if you have any secrets?
On metal, again, try some acetone, which is not very toxic. It's not like toluene. Yeah. Please do not use any toluene. It's very effective, but it's kind of toxic.
It's very
So
toxic.
use acetone.
Acetone.
IPA is much less effective, but
also
yeah.
less toxic
yeah.
and less fumes. So
Yes.
use one of those and use the method that Roger mentioned, a lint-free cloth, one direction cleaning.
Okay.
Mhm.
I think I know the answer to this, but just so I ask it, when replacing a display of a phone with a slim bezel or something that's just like a thin layer there, you know, using a pre-cut adhesive or a tape roll, which is better? Is there advantages of a tape roll over a pre-cut? Seems like we want, you know, pre-cut, but is there any guidance you give?
Sorry, I don't get the question.
So a pre-cut means a die cut. So I think pre-cut is easier from an application standpoint because you have the total area. You also have the opportunity to have better waterproofness because if it's a one-piece design, then there are fewer ingress points for water. So a die cut generally is easier or maybe better than a roll, but both can work.
Okay. Do you guys having any recommendations of your favorite tools? Maybe Roger, your favorite tool to use in the debonding process? Is it do you use a heat gun when you're doing it in your lab, or do you use like, you know, a pry bar or something?
We use the tools we use are very similar to
what we use here at iFixit,
use on the
we do
website.
teardowns. Okay. So it's still
Maybe we should buy some tools from you guys.
There you go. There you go. Well, we are basically at the top of the hour here, and there's just loads of questions, but unfortunately our time has kind of come to a close. I do have a recurring theme, though, that I did want to address, which is where do we get Tesa products? There are some people that are looking at your website, not able to find links. So it seems like what we'd like to do is probably just provide some more convenient links at the end of this.
Okay.
We'll probably do that on our Pro Talk community as part of the Pro Network. There's a discussion community that is Pro only, and so if you're getting this, you're probably part of that that Pro Talk community already. But feel free, we'll start a discussion there that might be a little bit easier for you guys to just link off to specific places you can get Psa Tape for your own purposes. But again, thank you so much for coming. Really appreciate you guys making the effort out here. Tremendous amount of content you guys have given us so far, and we're looking forward to really educating the community a bit better about how to use adhesives well in repair.
Thank you all for your great questions. We love them, and thanks for having us here. We appreciate it very much.
No problem. And thank you so much to the guys out remotes. Got Jessa, you know, and Trent and Niels over there. If there's any parting thoughts, I'll give you a moment, but if not, we're just going to head off.
I have no parting thoughts.
You have no parting thoughts, Trent?
No, I'm good.
Well,
you guys answered all my questions. This was great. Thanks for doing this.
No worries.
Thank you very much.
Our pleasure. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
A quick parting question, but
Okay.
we can kind of probably take it over to Pro Talk. We were just wondering about the teeny tiny little, when you can't really get a teeny tiny piece of tape. Like if it's so tiny, does it even work, you know? Or should we use a liquid adhesive?
That's a great question we'll end with. If it's teeny tiny, do you use a piece of tape or do you use liquid? It's a small bonding area.
We always use tape.
Always use tape.
The smallest pieces of tape that we have seen that are ours, right? If I put that carefully, are less than 1 millimeter by 1 millimeter, and they can work great, but you have to pick the right one. So tape can work even in teeny tiny areas.
Thanks for that. Wonderful answer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right. Well, we're going to call it off today, and then thank you so much for joining us. We'll make a recording of this available for any of your pros that that didn't get a chance to see this and would like to see this, and that'll be available sometime next week. But we appreciate the time. Thank you so much. You guys take care.